something different today. So meditation is a great foundation for wealth consciousness. And now I'm going to introduce you all to a wonderful woman that I met probably a year and a half ago, I think. Joanna Dolan has dedicated her life to helping others discover and put into action the tools, principles, and strategies that help raise a life from mediocrity to a life beyond dreams. She's an avid student of metaphysics, a graduate of Young Vincent Intervisions Institute for Spiritual Development and of the University of Metaphysics. She's also trained as a certified financial planner through the American College of Financial Services and is a former financial planner with American Express Financial Advisors. She is the owner of Dolan and Associates, an independent coaching firm that successfully teaches principle-centered financial fundamentals, which I interpret as the integration of finance, entrepreneurship, and spirituality. That's just me. As a writer and speaker, she has been invited to provide expert advice for the Baltimore Business Journal, several international radio shows, other churches, and for thousands of individuals and small businesses around the area. And now she's coming to share her wisdom with you. Welcome, Reverend Joanna Dolan. You don't have to stand there. There's a microphone here too.
Oh, good.
So,
I'm little. So, I have a question for you guys. If you can't hear me, just holler and I'll speak up. Well, my question is, we're all pretty much Americans in here, right? Born and raised? No? Okay. So my question is, how many of you guys have heard of the two things that we're guaranteed?
Guaranteed?
Yeah.
Death and time taxes.
There you go. Okay, cool.
Every American.
Every American's heard that.
Yes.
Well, I just want to dispel that, because that's a myth. That's the biggest myth that we're told in the world. You know, especially in America. And the myth is that we're guaranteed death and taxes. And the reason I say it's a myth is because there's times in everybody's life where you just wish you could die. Right?
Well.
You know, but you don't. You don't, right? So how real is that? Are you really guaranteed death? No. So how about this? You're not guaranteed taxes either. If you don't make money, you don't pay taxes. So it's a blessing to be able to pay taxes.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee. Okay? So the only it's true. So the only two things that we're guaranteed are what? We're not guaranteed death. What are we guaranteed? There you go. There you go. You cannot opt out of life. There's a gentleman in the parking lot when I got here, and he's struggling. He wanted some food and he wanted some water. He's living. He may be walking like a zombie, looking like a zombie, but he's alive. There is something coursing through his veins. You know, there's something coursing through his being that enables him to be animate, right? The other thing that we're guaranteed is prosperity, okay? So now we're guaranteed life, and we're guaranteed prosperity. But we don't think about prosperity as like, we tend to think about prosperity as abundance, but it's different, you know?
Right.
It's absolutely different. Prosperity is that whatever we think happens. It just, boom, it happens. You know, I can tell you, this morning I was on my way here, I dropped a friend off in DC and then I came over, and I was in a spin. And all the things that were happening in my mind were just fruitful and multiplying, and they weren't very nice. You know what I'm saying? So like, I was prosperous all morning long.
Right.
But I wasn't abundant in the way that I wanted to be. Okay. So if I want to change that, then I have to change my thinking. You know, I have to be in entirely new space.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that's what radical prosperity is all about, is you own it. It's your choice. Even when it feels like it's not, it is your choice. And you get to change it, because you can change it in a moment. It doesn't feel that way sometimes, and sometimes it takes little bitty incremental steps, but it does work. So you've got life courses through you all the time, and you've got prosperity constantly coursing through you. And so what I want to introduce you to today is financial stewardship as a spiritual practice. And the reason I have the words pray up there is because our lives are the prayer that God prays for us. You know, that life that courses through you, that you're guaranteed, that's the prayer God prays for you. That's the prayer that Spirit breathes through you. It's always present, and it cannot be stopped. The way that we choose to live our lives are the prayer that we pray back. So the way that we think and what we prosper in are the prayers that we pray back. And that is the example that we're setting for ourselves first. So if we think about it that way, the way that we use our money is an extension of that prayer that we're praying back to God. And the way that money flows into us is an extension of the prayer that God is constantly praying through us and around us and as us. And so over the next 40 minutes, what we're going to discuss is that. So I'm sure that you guys have spent money on things like this. I have. I would be lying if I said I wasn't. Martinis and gambling and some other things. Yeah, everybody's had that experience, right?
Sure.
So what I've come to understand is that money is a way of measuring our level of commitment to our beliefs. You know, what you believe you are, who you believe you are, is how you're going to spend your money. It's how you're going to spend other people's money. You know, and you can think about time and money as being the same thing, but that's another topic. So how we spend that money, how we save our money, and how we invest our money says a lot about who we believe we are and what our internal belief structure is. Money's tied in with our second chakra, which is also tied in with our first. But if you think about it, our first chakra is all about being rooted and being grounded, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody's in contact with something that is connected to the floor, right? We don't float here, right? You know, we're not the moon. We're not outer space. We are grounded. So there's, you know, that root chakra energy, you are always grounded. It's just, do we believe it or not? So if we think about it and we turn it on its head a little bit, am I floating on the ceiling? No. Then you're grounded. You're rooted. Everything that you need is here. It's available. It's within you. Okay? So that brings me up to the second chakra, which is the sacral chakra, which is right here, which is the seat of our creativity. Because all of our money comes from the ways in which we are being creative. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we're building businesses, but our businesses just serve us. Well, we're not being very creative. We're not being very expansive. The bigger that we become, the more we allow ourselves to expand, the more we allow our businesses to serve other people, to feed other people, the more we have to use to be creative with. The more resources, the more ideas, the more just general flow we're in, okay? So that brings me to this little piece right here. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Money, M-O-N-E-Y. Well, because I know that dollar bill, or this dollar bill, is all something that we've created. Like this is common. This is something that we've created that everybody uses, okay? And if we decided today we aren't going to use it, well, we're not, right? Most of us use credit cards or debit cards instead of that. It's the same thing. We've just switched up from using paper to plastic, but it's the same thing, okay? It's a construct that we've all collectively created. Same thing with money. If we think about money as an acronym, my own natural energy yield, then we realize this goes a lot further. Because you're able to be more thoughtful with it. What?
Oh, I was just repeating.
Oh, okay. You had that grin on your face. I was like, she got it. She got it. All right, she got it. I want my dollar. So, you know, with the sacral chakra being our creative place, it's also the place where we think about procreation and we think about sex. I bet you never thought you were going to hear this. But sex and money are the same, you know? And how you express yourself financially and how you express yourself sexually says a lot about who you believe you are. And I'm not talking about what you're into, you know, I'm not talking about your kink if you have one or if you don't have one. I'm talking about how you are. You know, are you a taker? Are you a giver? You know, do you do it because you love something? Do you do it because you love somebody? You know? Is it an expression of you? Or is it just something to fill a hole? Which for a lot of us it is. You know, and it's not a judgment, it's just a place to be aware of. So that brings me to my third point on this here slide, is that if money is energy, then we need to get clear about what energy is. Okay? So what is energy? Does anybody have an idea? Here. All right, I'll give this one. How about that chair that you're sitting on? Everything is energy. Energy is first, last, and always. Energy makes up that chair because energy makes up particles which make up matter that take on the intention of the creator, the person who designed it. So that chair started off as a thought in someone's mind. Even before it started off as a thought in someone's mind, it started off as a thought in someone else's mind. We started off as a thought in someone else's mind, we started off as a thought in the mind of God. You see that? Energy is. We can't have that chair without this thought. Okay? And I know how much you guys like sitting on these chairs. Those are comfortable chairs. So money is always present. It comes directly from the source to us and then moves out in the direction that we tell it to. Right? Both of them require our intention and our direction. So let's talk about putting our money where our mouth is. Both our literal money and our figurative money. You know, our acronym and our actual. You know, even though your current situation might seem desperate or lacking or uncontrollable or even unmanageable, that's okay. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Even those of us that have like the best financial situation feel that sort of stuff from time to time. We all do. What we need to remember is that energy and the thought comes before the action and the results. There's that law of cause and effect in there. And there's that law of mind in there. So long before you became conscious about what your intentions were, the energy behind those intentions were creating what you have now. So you remember what Kim said at the beginning? What's in our unconscious comes up to our conscious. And that's what financial stewardship is all about. Financial stewardship starts the process of financial empowerment. because it begins with our intention to put our conscious effort into what we're doing and to use our resources in a way that guide us and direct us and express ourselves in our outside world. Okay? So then money is either something that you have faith in or something that comes from faith. And I want to read a quote here for you. Henry Fielding once said, "Make money your God and it will plague you like the devil." No, right?
Right.
Woo! That is powerful. So you get to pick. You get to pick. Does it feel more powerful to be like in obedience and obeisance to money? I gotta get to that job, and I gotta be on time, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what I'm doing right now. I have to put all of my effort into thinking on that thing, which then seems to control me, which is totally outside of myself. There you go. Instead of being right here in my seat right now. And I can tell you that's what I was doing this morning, so I know how it feels. So when you're picking, pick wisely. All right? By putting your faith in spirit before putting your faith in money, you put money in its proper place as your servant rather than your leader. The most glaring example that I can give you of putting faith in money first is that of poverty. And you can see Nelson Mandela, he says poverty is not an accident. Like slavery and apartheid, it is man-made and can be removed by the actions of human beings. I get asked that a lot. Why do people say poverty is something that we've done? Well, the reason is that it's a symptom of our blocked creative energy. So if all you're doing is thinking, there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough, and all you think about is you're going to get really, really small, right? But if you're thinking, well, gosh, God gave me all these wonderful gifts, and you start counting your blessings, and you're like, well, how can I use this gift of, I'll just talk about myself, because for a long time I didn't appreciate the fact that I like to speak in front of people. Teachers would tell me, you are going to end up in so much trouble. Well, that's actually how I earn my living. So thank God for this gift that I'm able to use. And then there's also this gift of, I think too much. Well, thank God I think too much, because now I have something that I can give people when I speak instead of just standing up and talking to them sound like an airhead. That's what the teachers were talking about, right? And instead of it being all about me, it becomes, what can I give you? Because in my natural childlike state, I like to give. Have you ever seen a child who doesn't like to give? Right? They stop liking to give when it's beaten out of them. Right? And that's something that we get to unlearn. The Course, the Bible, and all of these sacred texts talk about unlearning. Well, let's unlearn that. That blocked flow of creativity is what causes poverty. When we think that if we're going to do something, it's going to be beaten. When we think that we do something and someone's going to retaliate, we block ourselves. But when we think, I'm just giving because I like to give, and here's something that somebody needs, and here's something else that somebody needs, and if we pay attention, we start to hear all of these things. Like energy is. We can hear each other's thoughts, and sometimes we speak them. Like, I need this. How do I do this? Well, if I've got the information, I can share it. But if I don't have the information, I can be like, well, who do I know who might know how to do this? Right? So we unblock that flow of creativity, because the truth is that we're adults now. No one's going to beat us unless we give them permission. Right? So we don't have to worry about what's someone going to say or what's someone going to do if I allow myself to burst open. So the other thing about this is that if your spirit is depressed, if you are depressed externally, your spirit is depressed. You are pushing it down. It's something that you learned. You can undo that. Poverty is a direct result of spiritual depression. It is a direct result of not allowing yourself to be as big and bad as bold as what you are. And as Marianne Williamson says over and over again, it's not being little that frightens us. It's being big that frightens us. You know? So this is just a symptom of our fear. And it's something that we created. And it's something that we can uncreate. And as we heal in the area of finances, how we're uncreating it is by doing two things. We're learning the prosperity mentality that we get taught. You can do all things in Christ who strengthens us. You know, you're learning that I'm a child of God, and so I am entitled to all the things. And you're getting practical application on how to carry through. Part of being a steward is being a gardener. Love that. You were like on my wavelength. Part of being a steward is being a gardener. And it's this learning to garden from the inside out that allows us to place our faith in the divine. Our dollar bills all say, "In God we trust." They all say it. Everything about the American financial system says God in it. And you can take God to mean spirit, universe, if that's what you need. When, you know, I walked away, I was born into a religious household. I'm a minister's daughter. I learned that God didn't work. So I walked away from the church. But what I was walking away from was that the way that I was being taught to think didn't work for me. Not that God didn't work. So when I came back to God, I couldn't call God God. I called God George. George is easy for me. It was easy for me. You know? And so whatever you have to call higher power, spirit, universe, God, George, you know, call, what is it? What'd you say? There you go. Henry.
Whatever works for you, right?
Exactly. Whatever works for you, whatever allows you to take off your chain in as little a piece as you need, that's the piece that will direct you and guide you. So the other thing is that as we're developing that, we're developing faith that energy is, at all times, coming to us from Source. It is ours to use, and it is the constant of our lives. It gives us the confidence to move forward, even if it's just a little bit. And when you hear yourself, you know, balking, it's okay. Just speak up, and then speak something different.
Yes.
And if you can't speak something different in that moment, find someone else who can speak something different over you. Find someone else who can speak how awesome you are. How God has flowed through you. How everything that you have touched has prospered. But have them look at the positive things. Don't have them look at the negative things, or you will prosper then. Okay? So having confidence, and where we put our feet financially, not only lifts us out of depression and poverty, but it gives everyone around us permission to do the same. If you're rocking your checkbook, she's rocking the checkbook. Because she can come to you and say, I don't know how this works. You know? Having that confidence enables people, organizations, and communities to be able to follow their inherent intuition. Inherent because we all have it, energy is. We need to place our faith in that. The only two guarantees that we have are what?
Life is necessary.
There you go. So now we're at habits. I love Napoleon. He's one of my favorites. So Napoleon Hill says it takes a habit to replace a habit. And that's what financial stewardship is all about. It's about learning how to become an effective gardener. You know, what we think in the back of our minds, what we think all the way down to the bottom of our feet, to the soles of our feet, is what grows. And if you're thinking weeds, weeds are coming. Okay? But if you start to think differently, well, I'm going to till my soil. It may look ugly for a little while, but I'm going to till my soil. I'm going to pull those weeds. You might want to do it the opposite way. Pull the weeds, till the soil. Okay? Plant the seeds, and then start to water that, you know, and see what comes up. And you're going to have some fits and starts, and there's going to probably be some times that you unintentionally plant something in somebody else's plot. That's okay, because someone's going to plant something in your plot unintentionally one day too. You ever had like a check show up that you weren't expecting? You know, or someone who give you back money that you borrowed, that you forgot, or worse yet, you were sitting there going, that person ain't never going to pay me back. When they send that check, you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. That's someone else planting in your garden because you planted in someone else's garden. I'm not saying do that on the regular, but it happens, okay? So let me tell you what the word by word financial stewardship definition is. It is the conscious and intentional practice of directing, growing, and caring for our financial gifts for the good and the benefit not only of ourselves, but also those that are touched by our lives. If all I'm worried about is feeding myself and I'm not concerned with feeding someone else, if I got a full sandwich and I am unwilling to share half my sandwich or a quarter of my sandwich and plant the rest of it, am I really expanding? Am I really being all that I can be? You always have more than you need. It's demonstrated to us time and time and time again.
Yes.
You always have it.
Yes.
So, as a spiritual practice, financial stewardship takes time to learn. Because it requires us to sit in the books. It requires us to get in front of people like Deborah Owens. It requires us to sit in boot camps, and it requires us to learn how to read financial statements. And once you read those financial statements, you are empowered.
Yes.
If you teach a man to read, you give him a future. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But if you let him stew in that and you read stuff for him, what good are you really doing him? Exactly. Nothing. So the benefit of doing the work is that over time, finances become simple to you. And you lose the fear of financial insecurity.
Yes.
Now, occasionally things will arise that scare you. And just like your experience of outgrowing the monsters and the fear of the monsters underneath your bed, you're going to outgrow that fear too. Because you're going to know. So, I'll give you an example. I am diligent with, I got 15.
Talk to the mic.
Oh, okay. I'm diligent about my financial records. I keep a checkbook. I back it up against my online statements, my bank statements. I reconcile that puppy. You know, I believe that what I read myself. And so I take really, really good care of it. And Wednesday, I had a really scary thing happen. I've been keeping track of my records and my receipts. And I made an arrangement with a company because I need to get a little bit more education. And so I made an arrangement with them that they could take out monthly deductions over the next 6 months to pay for my education. That's not what they did. They took out the whole amount all at once, and it overdrew me, and I didn't have access to my bank account. You know, I had to borrow money from somebody. And I gotta tell you that when it happened, even though I know I got money in my savings account, I got money in my checking account, this is a blip. This is a blip. And I'm an expert at this stuff, you know? The fear still went through me.
Yes.
It just went boom. You know, like we cannot turn that fight or flight thing off unless we spend lots of time in meditation and lots of time knowing what's going on. So for about 5 minutes, I literally spun. And I jumped up and down a little bit, you know, and I just wanted to run. Because I'm like, oh no. But then I thought to myself, there you go. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. Why am I upset about this? Why am I upset about this? I know how much money I got in my account. Yeah. So it gave me the ability to call my bank and say, we got a problem, Houston. How do we fix this? And they told me exactly what to do to fix it. So then I was able to call the merchant up and say, we got a problem. We need to fix this. I worked with them. They worked it out. I'm not paying any overdraft charges. Right? Because I was able to say, look, this is what the deal is. This is what the agreement is. This is what is in writing. This is what I've been keeping track of. And they were just like always, because they've come to expect a certain amount of preparation from me and a certain amount of honesty and integrity from me. And having those books helped me to see that I was in integrity. I had not done anything wrong, and there was no reason for me to be running like a chicken. Right? Everybody's had those moments. Looks like a bobblehead convention.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It is.
So that brings us to, why are we here? Why are we sitting here? Why are we doing this? Why is SEC and Reverend Michelle and Minister Kim, I'm calling you Minister Kim because I feel it.
Okay.
So why are we doing practical stuff for you? Why are we doing these practical things for you? Why did we just finish up a boot camp?
Well, because this is the context in which we live right now. So we need the tools with which to operate in this context.
I love it. That is absolutely 100% dead on. 100% dead on. And since SEC is a thought leader, and since we have the intention of being a thought leader for CSL, we're going to remain a thought leader, and we're going to stand on the thought, and we're going to put it out there. So we've looked at why some places do better with prosperity than others. And it's awesome. It's awesome that we get taught about prosperity and abundance. We get taught about the prosperity mentality over and over and over again. We expect it now. It is our birthright. But if we don't have the tools, we're going to spin. And we're not going to be able to get out of it. Because we're constantly going to think, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this other person is right. Maybe this is not my birthright. And we're doing this so that you know this is your birthright. This is what you were meant for. And it's time for you to learn how to garden. Okay? So, one of the places that we looked was charismatic Christians. And I have Pastor Osteen up on the wall because he's a great example of that. You know, he's a charismatic Christian. He believes the same things that we believe. talks about it. You can read it in his books. If you turn on the TV, you can hear what he says. There's others doing the exact same thing. They're more prosperous in a financial, abundant way than what a lot of new thought churches are. Because they're teaming up practical with spiritual.
Yes.
That's what we're doing. Okay. So, we want you to be money graduates.
All right.
We want you to be money graduates. Just like Pastor Osteen and other pastors all over the place, Reverend Michelle, we believe that, take a breath. Probably better take another one. Everyone deserves a financial education. That the positive manifested and demonstrable prosperity of our congregation reflects well on churches, both individually and denominationally, as well as the communities that we reside in. If you guys are doing well, they're doing well. If you, artists, are doing well, your church is doing well. It's a ripple. It starts with you. And so that's what we're doing. That's why you're here. Is to change your mindset. It's inferred in other places that being good stewards of our finances is a spiritual practice. It is inferred. It's not inferred in all of your thought. But I'm sure you've heard many, many, many people say, treat and move your feet. That's what we're giving you the tools for. That's what we're giving you the tools for. And that's what we're going to keep giving you the tools for. So over the next 3 months, you're going to be exposed to many practical ways to apply the same diligence that you apply in your prayer life to your external financial life. To support you in this endeavor, I'm going to share this symbol with you. You guys have seen this, right?
Yes.
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 So,
The dollar sign.
yeah, that's what I see it as too. It's a dollar sign. But you know what else it is? Those of you that know,
It's golden.
it's what?
It's golden.
It's gold. Yeah. What else?
That's the Superman.
Well, he's kind of a little different. But close. So this sign, universal, this sign shows up repeatedly, again and again and again in your bank books. The only thing it does not show up on is your dollar bills, your paper currency. And the reason is because it already says, in God we trust. So from now on, every time you see this dollar, every time you see this sign, I want you to think of this. All right. Your God's already in your finances. This symbol literally means holy. See that H?
Yes.
Spirit. It's just another way of looking at it,
Yes, indeed.
right?
Right.
So, what do we guarantee?
Life.
According to what?
Spirit.
Spirit. Holy Spirit.
Spirit and our thoughts. If you're thinking poor thoughts, you're going to be having poor prosperity. If you're thinking wealthy thoughts, you're going to have abundant prosperity, right? You're going to have it financially, mentally, physically, all those areas. It's up to you to decide what your intention is, okay? And from now on, anytime you see that dollar bill, you get to remind yourself of this. Holy Spirit, come.
Yes, indeed.
Because Holy Spirit's here. He's been here the whole time. The whole time. And now you know. And now you get to be reminded of this. So when you're going through this next 3 months, and there are things that you're not getting, or there are things that scare you like the monsters, remind yourself. Okay? Get grounded in that. Holy Spirit's here. My thoughts dictate my prosperity, and I am guaranteed life. Okay? So thank you